One of the biggest challenges in that industry is rejection.
We really need to reflect on how are we waiting.
Everything starts from the mind. Having the right mindset will lead you to having a right life set.
Make sure that you find a place where you can anchor yourself.
Sure.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to our session today, our podcast named Youth and Leadership in commemoration of June 16 as we're in the Youth Month. I am Thabile Msibi and I am a Deputy President of the Youth and Business South Africa, and I'm going to moderate a conversation today around challenges faced by young people as well as solutions on how we can move from where we are in the case of stagnation to be in a better place, both emotionally and mentally. So I do have my panelists around me. I have DK, I have Zama, and I have Precious. If you guys can just quickly introduce yourselves and what you're currently doing. DK?
My name is Dikeledi DK, and I'm a social media strategist. I'm also passionate about helping small businesses and young entrepreneurs grow in the media space.
Thank you very much, DK. Zama, if you can just quickly introduce yourself.
All right, cool. My actual first name is Alpheus, but I know people are talking about it sounds like an old name. I actually like it, surprisingly, because it means successor, the one that comes after the one that came before.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
I'll use it at a later stage.
It was my uncle's name.
Is it? Shout out. Your uncle's amazing.
My mother's older brother.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Zama Madlala is the name. Basically grew up in Johannesburg. I moved to Pretoria at a later stage within my life. I studied BSc Informatics and Business Management, got into the digital marketing space. Apart from that, I've taken the time to actually write these two books, just to empower and enrich people out there. So basically, obviously, I'm the owner of the company that actually wrote this. And yeah, man, that's pretty much me. That's the space. I really just want to help people. That's the goal in this. And then also just in the marketing space, literally just grow, feed off, learn, become the best version of myself by taking certain things from there. Worked with amazing brands, Samsung, Toyota, Ford, Nando's, brands like that. So like my profile is pretty rich at this point in time, and I truly want to take what I've learned and empower and enrich others. So,
yeah. Sounds like your profile is quite rich. And we'll talk about those books towards the end of our conversation.
Awesome.
Precious.
Hi, I'm Kabelo Precious. I am from Atteridgeville, Pretoria, West. I am a model, I'm an actress, and I'm a voice artist. I've also been writing, but I haven't published anything yet. I'm going to need your help.
Don't worry,
and yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Precious, for joining us today. We hope to make a difference today in our young people's lives, seeing the challenges that we've been facing in South Africa. We really need to shift certain things. We need transformation. So we're hoping that this conversation today will impact you as a young person there, as well as grow you, move your mindset perhaps from where it is now, if it's stagnant, and perhaps grow you to thinking differently. Just quickly, I'm going to start with you, DK. The challenges that you faced, you said you were a social media strategist, and you did mention to me offline that you do your work independently, so you contract independently and you work a lot with young people in SMMEs. Just quickly, the challenges that you have faced in growing your entity or yourself as a social media strategist, what have you faced? If you can just take us through that.
Oh, wow, that's such a complex question, actually. But some of the challenges I face, I think, and I hope I've got the eloquence of words to say this correctly. With social media in South Africa at the moment, it's still not taken as seriously as other parts of the world.
Right, yeah.
So, even when you present yourself as a social media strategist, and one of the reasons why I decided to go independent is because even if you apply for a job in the social media space, it's normally like you're a social media manager and this. You know, it's like we don't necessarily see the importance of just focusing the company or the business or whatever on the social media. And I mean, social media is such a huge platform with so many people that use it on a daily basis. So some of the challenges is that, you know, when you present yourself and you say, I'm a social media strategist, that's what I do, some of the challenges that you'll get is that a lot of people think, but I'm also on social media. I can also do it.
Right, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
You know, they don't really see the what happens on the back.
Correct. There's a lot that goes into it.
Sounds like you know a lot
Trust
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
There's so much that happens in the background, and so many people are just focused on the surface level things that we see. And, you know, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about it is that I'm hoping that in South Africa we can open up our just minds to social media and the power of it.
Yeah.
If you look at other parts of the world and you see the power and the impact that social media has and how people use it, and I'm hoping that we in South Africa we can learn how to harness the full power of it. So the challenges is that people don't really take it seriously. They don't see the power of social media, and yeah, I think biggest thing really is that, and I think people think it's like a toy, like you know, somewhere where you just go to like scroll, or you know, but it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the sentiment that is around social media and how it's being used, I think that's why the mentality right now is people thinking that social media is a toy.
Yeah.
So I think we are sort of moving towards taking it seriously because you see a lot of young people reshaping their social media pages and all of that. But with the help of people like yourselves, I think you could definitely change how we think about social media and how we use it as a tool to our own advantage. Yeah. Thank you so much, DK. And Zama, I'm going to come to you. I mean, you're an entrepreneur and you did mention that you're also in corporate right now. The challenges that you faced as a young person before you got where you are right now?
To be honest, I think the first challenge that I faced was the color of my skin. So I think already because I'm black, you already undermined, right? I look young as well, but I'm actually pretty old.
Let's not go there.
So another thing, that's the challenge that you face, and a lot of people that are not of color already, you have to kind of do a lot more than them in order to have a footprint or have a say in spaces like that. You know, so if you don't know who you are as an individual, it's going to be very tough for you. You will literally get like stepped on, spat on, etc. I remember I had a fight with one of my bosses. I think this was in 2016, 17, right? And I used to put in the hours. When I say put in the hours, get to the office at 6 in the morning, and I'm leaving at like 1 a.m. This is a continuous circle, right? And then the day I finally decide, let me go home on time, 5 p.m. I get a call, I'm on the Gautrain train. This gentleman says to me, where the F are you, right? In that moment, I had a decision to make. Am I going to come down to his level, or am I going to stand up for what I believe in, which is myself? How do you see yourself as an individual? And I remember just saying at that moment, I said, I'm not going to mention his name, but I said to him, hi, whoever, I hope you're doing well, you know? Please kindly refrain from swearing at me when you're speaking to me, because I've never sworn at you. You are a person, and I respect you for the role that you have, being in leadership, but there's no need for you to undermine who I am, right? And then he says, you are rude. I said, I'm not the one that swore at you. I'm just standing up for what I know is right and believe is right. He's like, okay, I'm going to take this to the higher powers. I said, go ahead and do that. I'm fine with that. The next day I step into the office, this guy can't look me in my eyes because every other person of color that he's sworn at, they sit back, they listen to what he has to say, and then they walk with fear, right?
Sure.
I walk with God. I know what God says about me. I don't care your title. Let's respect one another. You actually there to serve me. I'm also there to serve you. At the end of the day, without us, you are nothing. But without you in leadership, we also don't have direction as to where we're going to, you know. So those are the initial challenges that I faced stepping out in there. is it like humility? Is it disrespectful to speak back to a person in authority? But then I got to the place where I'm not a rude person. I will speak to you like a person.
Yeah.
But just don't undermine me. And trust me, I will get the work done. You know what I'm saying? I'm a sponge. I'm always willing to learn and draw. I don't think I know it all. And that's how I've grown so quickly in my career as well. I'm learning, and I take time to invest in myself as well to grow too. You know, so I think that's the biggest challenge. Maybe age, and then also the color of your skin, because you have to do a lot more than a person that is not as, yeah.
Very uncomfortable conversation.
That are very necessary.
Yeah, very necessary. I mean, we have seen the challenges faced by young people. You consider people who are of the other races, and you look at yourself as a black person, and you know that when you enter into certain spaces, you don't really get the recognition or support,
Yeah.
you know, that is needed. So, yeah, we know that that challenge for young people, it's a conversation that we need to have. We need to drill through that conversation, and we need to unpack on solutions on how we can actually overcome that challenge. Precious, over to you. We have seen you at our screens. We have seen you.
Where have you seen me?
Should I mention it here? We have seen you do big things, you know, and I know that there are young people who still look up to you. So just
There
tell us
are a
about.
few in my township.
Ivo.
There are a few in Atteridgeville. I'm not sure about other parts
I
of the
mean,
world.
even us, you just don't know us. You know, you just don't see us there, and then you're like, okay, they look up to me. But even people like us, we have seen you make immense difference in our country, and it was even easier because you were always on our screens. But tell us about the challenges that you had to go through and overcome before you actually saw yourself in that space.
Sure. So before the acting and voiceovers and all of that, I modeled for many years.
Yeah.
And the biggest, one of the biggest challenges in that industry is rejection.
Right.
Because you can go to 10, 20, 30 auditions in a week or in a month and get nothing.
Sure.
You can audition the whole year and get nothing. So rejection, right? So you start feeling like you're not good enough. You start
Not
feeling
worthy.
you start feeling a bit unworthy. You start feeling like you're not doing something right. So you try to upskill yourself, and you like, also as a model, you worry, is my bum too big? Am I too fat?
You start questioning
do I
who you
need?
are as an
Yeah.
individual.
So it goes into like that self-image.
Sure.
Let me speak for myself. So I started looking in the mirror and started seeing faults. Okay, I need to make my boobs a little bit bigger. Okay, I need to work out so I can have a six-pack. Yeah, and I need to tone. I need to do the weaves, the weave thing, and I need to do this, and I need to. So rejection was one of the very difficult things, because it made me look at myself in the mirror and pick out all these faults, because what is wrong with me? Why am I auditioning the whole month and nothing's coming through?
Yeah.
You know. So and another thing that that for me challenged me a lot is from a young age, from when I was like 18, then I started making a lot of money. Right? And my mother has this thing of disturbing everything. You know, like she's quiet, she doesn't say anything, then she comes through and she disturbs everything.
Right, yeah.
So my mother wasn't saying anything. She didn't like the modeling. It didn't go with her belief system, the church, and all of that stuff. Yeah. But I started making a lot of money, and she was like, right, this is what we're going to do with this money.
Sure.
Black tax.
No, not even black. It wasn't even black tax. The black tax thing I did on my own. I did the offering.
Yeah.
You know, of like taking care of my siblings and her, and that came from me completely.
Yeah.
But she was like, okay, I remember my second check was, I think, 16,000 rand. I'm a girl from the township. It was like a box of relaxer, a hair product called Soft and Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like 16,000 rand. And she came with me on the shoot. And then she was like, okay, I'll go with you. And then they cut my hair, and then she was traumatized. And then the money comes through, and she's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. 6 months fixed deposit. What do they call that thing?
A fixed deposit.
Yeah,
Bank,
6 months. And then and then later in the day, I'm sitting there and I'm like,
I want to see your mother.
so I can't spend my money. And then, I mean, she tried to teach me how to spend money, but eventually I also found myself living beyond my means. I did a Coca-Cola campaign. It paid me 120,000 rand.
Issues.
I paid my rent for 6 months, but still, I'm like, there's this glamorous model lifestyle. I want to fit in. You know, I also want a Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah.
I also want the fanciest weaves.
Yeah.
I also,
Yeah.
you know, so that was the rejection thing. And then there was the managing money at a young age
Yeah.
thing. That was very challenging. I mean, until my 20s, I was just blowing it.
Sure.
You know? And then the third thing for me, being mixed race, because I'm half black, half white.
Yeah.
I also had like
Serious?
I also had like racial issues.
Yeah.
So I was like throughout navigating a path, whatever like in career wise, I didn't know where to place myself.
Sure.
I'm not black enough.
Yeah.
Because when the audition comes through and it says black girl, yeah, ke a bolela like a Mosotho, ke kgona ho bua, ke a khuluma if it's necessary. But I rock up there and they're like,
The look though.
Yeah.
you know, because according to me, I'm black. I grew up in the township.
Yeah.
Ngwanyana kwa Atteridgeville, ngwanyana Pitori. Right? But that's not black enough.
Yeah.
Because when I go to an audition, it says black girl. Ke a fihla mo la ke a di beta.
Hey.
Mara still, I have to look at myself and be like, it's really?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, I'm not white enough. Because
Sure.
next to white people, my pigment is darker. It's more like olive.
Sure.
Like, you know, so another challenge was not black enough, not white enough. Again, self-image, looking myself in the mirror, picking out what is wrong.
Is there something wrong about you? Yeah.
That is one of the challenges, and nobody, absolutely literally nobody told me how to navigate that.
Sure.
I just had to get to a point where in my late 20s, when I was like, you know what, Precious, this is who you are. This is what you are.
Yeah.
Accept yourself. And what comes will come to you if it's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean... At some point, I was just sitting there waiting. And I was like, okay, this waiting thing is not going to happen. So if they say black girl, I rock there. And the producer's like, and I'm like, I'm here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what? If they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. And then I go to 90 Plain Street and the brief comes through. I mean, to Cape Town, and the brief comes through and it says black girl.
Sure.
And I go there and the casting director is like, okay, this is awkward. And then I start speaking because they wanted Tswana, fluent Tswana. So I translated the thing, I started speaking Tswana. And the casting director was like, good, very good. 2 weeks later, I get the call. I was like, it's one of those things. It's fine. At least I impressed the casting director.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and he'll remember me.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I get the call. You got the job. I was like, what? The most random thing. I'm going on Twitter and people are like, yeah, who's this girl? People are like, oh no, it's the girl from Tempe Pushers. Yeah, she's from Atteridgeville.
Yeah.
But people were like, what is going on?
Something that you also didn't expect.
This colored girl, and she colored obviously.
Yeah.
And she's speaking Tswana and like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I loved that. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah.
Changing the paradigm.
You will find the space.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
that if you're that puzzle piece that's missing,
Sure.
it will come to you know, you will be
That's
in the
good.
right place at the right time.
I love that point
Yeah.
that you're saying. I truly believe that what is for you is for you.
Yeah.
You know? So shout out to you.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to sit there and be like,
Oh,
it's gonna come,
Yeah.
because I did that.
Yeah.
I did that for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, it's gonna come. You can't do that.
I like that
You
you,
have to go-
mentioned you got tired of waiting.
I got tired. Yeah,
You know,
you have
and then
to,
you finally stood up.
you have to
Yeah.
you have to go, okay, it's out there. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a little
yeah.
treasure hunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other people are looking for it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get it first. You know?
Sure.
I love what you say there, because I think, just like you're saying that waiting thing, people wait, but they're not doing anything
Yeah.
about it. I think it's about how you wait.
Yes, you have
How
to be
you
proactive
wait.
in your
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah.
So I remember when I didn't have a job, I think it was 2018. It was a short period of time. But every single morning I woke up as though I was going to work. I was doing something that was work related
Yeah.
to grow myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when the opportunity came, because I was ready, I didn't need to get ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the transition was instantaneous.
Yeah.
And I was able to go to work. I was waking up at that
Yeah.
time and nothing had to change
Yeah.
because I'd already changed for that time.
The opportunity
Yeah.
caught you dancing on the table. already.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's a very important factor that you've just mentioned, Precious, that, and I'm going to take it to young people at home who are already graduates. And I know how we've always complained about the unemployment in South Africa and everything that's going on. But how are we waiting as young people? And we really need to reflect on how are we waiting. Are we waiting while maybe volunteering here and there? Are you doing something to make a difference or to get yourself out there? Are you showing up to get yourself out there and show people that this is what I'm capable of?
Yeah.
And yes, I may have been a graduate, but I can do way more, over and above what I have. So I think that's a very important factor.
But it's easier to wait when you have resources.
Yes.
True.
You know?
True.
Well, it's easier to wait when you have resources.
yeah,
To that point,
yeah.
I think a lot of us talk from a place of privilege as
Yeah.
well. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean,
Understood.
even something as simple as living close to a library. You get a library card and you go to the library. I did that for a while. You know, I did that when I was living in Cape Town. I did that when I moved back to Pretoria
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's closer when, even as something as simple as living close to a library where you can just go and browse and take a book or two or something.
Yeah.
You know, something as simple as living close to community center. And these days, I even see in Atteridgeville, I have a friend of mine, Greg Lidikha. He's a big community leader,
Right.
youth community leader, and
Yeah.
he's always doing things. But he's like, Precious, they don't show up.
Yeah.
True.
These kids, it's like they don't show up. Then and he's like, I'm unemployed, I'm bored, I'm
Yeah.
depressed, I'm not doing anything the whole day. I'm like,
But when opportunities
but
are
when
presented,
we were cleaning that school over
Yeah.
there, we were
Yeah.
doing this, we were
Yeah.
painting that old lady's house. We would. There's always something to do, but he was like, these kids, they just don't show up.
And also, I think what's also important is you don't know who you'll meet
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
when you go there and show up.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are out there with a lot of opportunities. And yes, you may undermine that type of thing or project or program that's running and tell yourself, I'm not going to show up for this. But actually, you don't know who you might meet there who could put you to the next step of the ladder.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very important to show up. And yes, we've been very under-resourced in our country. That's like a given. You know, recreational centers are not there. Programs are no longer running because when there is a program, it's basically moved towards certain people and other people don't hear of it, you know. But it's important for young people to be out there and show up, you know.
I think from my side, I've got 4 points that I want to
Right, yeah.
Point number 1 is that we've got people that feel like the government or people owe them something. So
Right.
just because I've got a degree, I feel like the government owe me a job or that employer owes me a job.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So we need to get out of that mentality of
Yeah.
anybody owes us anything. The only person that owes you something is yourself.
Right,
Right.
100%.
Point number 2, I come to the point of basically, I don't feel like there's not enough opportunities. I truly feel like the opportunities are there. It's just that people are not taking them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to your point, you're saying that people are not showing up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There is opportunity out there. But the thing is, I remember my mentor once said to me, are you willing to go put in work and not get paid? Because that actually shows your true heart. Because it's easy to go put in work when you're getting paid. But are you willing to go out there and do something and not get paid for that very thing that you're going to do? Which in essence is what? You're building skill set.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's this picture. So where it said that we're looking for a person, but they're graduate, but they must have like 30 years of experience.
Yes.
You know, but I see that thing because personally in my own life,
Yeah.
when I was in varsity, I was working at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had an internship in the same space of where I was studying. Yes, I would say the opportunity came to me nicely in essence, but it was an opportunity from somebody that worked at the church. Went and did that. After that, I went and worked in another space that I wasn't, which was the law space. I was dealing with deceased estates and things like that.
Yeah.
Right? And even though it's not in the space that I was in, it's just that that willingness to learn, to grow, and be in a space.
Yes,
Because one day
yes.
I did believe I was going to be in corporate or I was going to be in the working space. So just
Yeah.
growing and learning there. So sometimes you might not get what you want,
Yes.
but there's something that comes, and use that as an opportunity to grow. Use that as an opportunity to better yourself as an individual, because you are going to be interacting with people. It's also about building relationships and everything in different spaces and stuff like that. And I think the third point that I wanted to mention was, it slipped my head right now, but yeah, I think
must
those.
come back.
Yeah,
No,
but I
you were
think-
saying the opportunities are there, but
yes, but we're not taking those
Yeah.
opportunities.
And I also just want to mention, with what everybody has said, and just to echo it, a lot of young people, it's not that they don't, I don't want to say they don't look for the opportunities, but there's also this thing of putting things off,
Yeah.
or thinking that an opportunity will come again.
Yeah.
You should never ever, think, let me miss this because, or I'll do it tomorrow, or, that type of mentality.
Yeah, yeah.
And that mentality goes into the everyday,
Yeah, yeah,
how you
yeah.
build your day.
Yeah.
I think it was Zama that mentioned that even when he wasn't working, he would still wake up early, he would
Yeah,
still prepare
yeah.
and treat his day
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
I was
so-
offered a job on a soapy, and I was like, soapies are so boring. Who would want to do a soapy? I was like, me, soapy. I was like, drama series, the side thriller.
You want excitement.
and exciting things. Like, I was like, what soapies?
And I think when you are still
Yeah,
very, very
yeah.
young, you also have
Yeah.
this mentality of, I've got time.
Yeah, that was a terrible decision, honestly.
And then all of a sudden, you're 25 and you're like, oh, where did the time go? So also never waste your time. And even the day to day make a huge difference. So waking up early, waking up at 10, you've already wasted most of that day.
Unless it's a Saturday or a Sunday.
And it was a weekend. Yes, of course, there's time for rest. But I'm like, be very intentional, even in your day while you have nothing going on. Even if it's I'm waking up early to apply for jobs,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm a big believer in looking for things to do and not just waiting for a job, because there's always, and when you look, even online, there's so many things that you can do.
Yeah.
To better your life while you wait.
True.
There's business opportunities that you can get into while you wait. While you're building that big thing that you want to build, what are you doing every single day? What small thing are you doing to build yourself as well?
Yeah.
I really like you bring up that point of the opportunities are there. You get an opportunity and you're like, I'll get something better. On it now, I'll take a soapy. Hi.
And it comes back to her point
Yeah.
that she mentioned earlier on, that you don't know who you're going to meet there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So you might see this as a small opportunity, but that's the door that I truly believe God has opened for you to open up other doors
Yeah.
too. But if you don't take this opportunity, those other doors won't open. So a
That's
small
true.
key can open up a big door.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you think that you need that big door to open up a big door, you actually missing the mark. there.
Yeah.
And the doors aren't always going to be big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The doors aren't always going to be big. And I think that's one thing. That's one thing that I see that I also had to kind of accept. I was like living in London and it was great. And I moved back to Joburg. And I was like, I have to now go back, from being driven around to now I have to use taxis and Ubers and this and that and all of that. Then I moved to Cape Town and I was like, oh, the bus. Oh no, my life is over. But it, it's up and down.
yeah,
Sometimes you get that big door. You're driven around in a Mercedes. You're staying in a 5-star place, eating the best meal.
Sure.
The next thing is a low budget film and
Sure. Using taxis.
using taxis and things like that, and you
100%,
have to eat a sandwich for lunch. The next thing it's something else. You know what I mean? I think you also once another thing that I find the youth struggled with I struggled with as well, is like once you do something so big,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh Precious, it's like the big lead role on 90 Plain Street. Oh Precious, we have a girl, she's a receptionist, it's just one scene. And I'm like, no thanks. I only do principal roles. I'll take it now. Hi. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Know your
like, it's
words.
like the door is not always going to be big. I mean, those Hollywood actors and those and all of those American, Elon Musk, American big businessmen, and all of those people, they make everything look so amazing,
Glamorous.
because so amazing because every one of their doors has
Looks like
to
it's
be
big.
big. Looks like it's big. And he buys Twitter, then there's the car, and then he's going things into space. You know, things
But
like
you know,
that.
with what you're saying, it's very true. And even with working in the social media space, because even that there's a disconnect there, because people like not pe- actually people actually old, even as grown-ups and old people do it. We tend to look at social media and forget that there's life beyond that one picture that you see. You know, so and we forget that people on social media post high points.
Yes.
Nobody posts the low points.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then now you are in a depression and you're like, nothing is going right. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the big picture. But you don't know that, for example, me, Precious, it took 13 years for her to
them
get
to
to that
get
place where she's
there.
posting
Yeah,
that picture.
yeah.
You know? So I also think even as people, we need to start also I don't say sharing the low moments, but being realistic in when we speak it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Because now we've got young people all chasing the social media lifestyle, and it's unfortunate because it's in everything.
I actually
you know?
saw something this past week. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I saw that China is now going to ban people from creating that luxurious
I saw
lifestyle
that
on
as well.
social media
I saw that as well.
because it's very misleading.
It is,
To be
yeah.
honest, it's very misleading. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have presented such great points. You presented
Thank you.
managing finances at a young age when you start booming.
The self-image.
Self-image,
Being worthy.
knowing your worth,
Knowing
knowing
that you are enough.
Yes, knowing that
Yeah.
you're enough, understanding that you need to be respected as well, in as much as you grant that respect to people, especially people in authority, and knowing how to position your product in terms of being a social media strategist. But how do we then come up with solutions to these challenges that we have faced before? What is it that young people can actually do? I know we've presented already, but what are the core solutions that we can bring about to ensure that young people actually redirect themselves towards being better people from where they are currently?
You know, when I was 9 and 10,
Yeah.
terrible time, but I was living in Mafikeng, right? Mavatu, with my aunt, my late aunt and her late husband. And I used to walk to school, and I mean, I was there recently and I was like, did I walk that far? Sure. Every day. I was like, he was like, what? I couldn't believe it. But so I used to walk past, there used to be this community center or creative space called Mabana. I don't know if it's still there. And sometimes I used to pop in, there's like gymnastics there's an art class that side, there's an acting class there were just activities. It was like and I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to have a space like this. I still want to do that. Where if I do that in Atteridgeville, and there was a space and a building that I wanted, and now it's been demolished, and I was like, what is happening? So that space is not there anymore, so I have to find another space. But
Your
but
place
I
is
wish
gone.
I wish there was a place where the youth, people in the suburbs and all of that can take care of themselves. But the youth, my people in the township, where like an 18-year-old finishes matric and she's like doesn't know what she's gonna do with her life, and she goes to the thing and she talks to someone.
Yeah.
What are your interests? What are your passions? What are your talents? Maybe, kind of direct and guide. And I don't really know what I'm getting. What am I saying? Yeah. A place of like counseling.
100%.
But once you say psychologist and
Yeah.
counseling, they're like, I'm
Then
not crazy.
it's-
Nothing
yeah.
is wrong with me. Why must I go to
Because
counseling?
I was
Because
about to ask.
There's a
speak
negative.
to who?
There's a negative thing with counseling.
Yeah.
And psychology and they're like, what? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. I don't need help. I'm not stupid. It's like no one's saying you're stupid or just go and talk to someone. A lot of these private schools do that.
Yeah.
I remember there's a young girl that used to adore me, or she still does. And she loved my modeling, right? But she did this test at school, I think, and then they were like, "You're creative, you're an artistic person, stick to that." And that's what she did.
Yeah.
She got a degree in art direction, and she did all sorts of crazy things. I modeled for her, and but in the township, nobody does that. Finish matric, go and find a job.
Or you
Or
leave
finish-
that very place that you started at and forget about that place.
Yeah.
In essence.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, to your point, is that you are born where you're born for a reason.
Yeah.
I truly see it as you are the answer to the problem in that.
Yes, I need to do that
community.
community center
Yeah.
thing where the youth can come and say, I don't know what to do. Because also when you don't know which path to take,
Yeah.
you could end up anywhere.
Yes.
You can end up anywhere.
Even
right?
in wrong spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much information out there, it's even more confusing. For these kids. And they,
Can I add to that point?
yeah, sure.
Before this started, me and her were having a conversation about
Yeah.
careers and where you started off and everything like
Yeah.
that. I really feel like that literally there's a lot more opportunities in the world than there is, for example, in church.
okay.
I feel like I am the person that I am now because I was connected to a church. I've grown so much, it's kind of set my
Through the church,
foundation
yeah.
and everything. When I say there's a lot of opportunities in the world, how many opportunities, like in a club right now, there's bottle girls, there's waitresses, etc. So you can be pulled in the wrong direction and start doing the wrong thing from an early age, right? Rather than if you get a church or mentors in church that can help you grow from a young age, because a lot of who we are is from a foundation.
Well, I
of
grew up
faith.
in a church, and you should have seen me in my 20s.
But you get my
Girl, you were
point
having
there.
it.
I need a professional academic advice. Okay,
Yeah, but
not a spiritual awakening.
But to your point, like there isn't people that we can really turn to out there. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you're
of course.
speaking about finances at a young age. Bruv, our parents were struggling with their finances. at
But
a
we
young
didn't
age.
know that.
Exactly. Our parents would tell us, I don't have money, but you just got paid. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But then
Yeah.
now when you get older, you understand, you look at your
fully
budget
understand.
and you're like,
Yes.
oh, they do have money, but the money
It's allocated.
It's allocated to
Already.
something else.
Before it even arrives in your bank account, you already have
And these
commitments.
kids these days, they need so much.
You know?
We didn't know we were deprived.
Yeah, 100%.
I went with my mother end of the month, once a month, to Mr. Video. What was it called? Yeah,
Mr. Video.
to get like 4 or 5 DVDs.
Yes.
Yes.
Not
And you have
DVDs,
the
cassettes.
DVD. Yeah.
4 or 5 VCRs. End of the month, it was great.
was
We got takeaways. And we watched as a family. Sometimes I'd get like a horror movie, and my mother would lose her mind, but she'd still watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was great. That was the greatest thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
these days, there's just like
I
these
think also
kids just,
the influence of social media. These kids are influenced
bad.
so much
they
by what
want
happens
so
on social media,
much.
and they think they need those things that they see on
Yes.
social. And actually, they don't need anything from
they
there.
don't need that much.
No, they don't need that much.
No, you really don't need that much.
And
No,
they
you don't.
position their minds towards getting all that instant gratification,
pressure.
getting all of that
Yeah.
and this. People want cars at like 20 years old. I mean, you want a car.
I saw an American
Just
girl.
finished school.
An American girl. I saw this video.
I
An
think I
American
saw
girl.
that.
Her father gave her a BMW.
I think I
Did you
saw
see
that
that?
video, yes.
She's 18 or 19. Oh, now
Yeah.
you don't have to walk to varsity
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
And she's like, what is this?
She didn't want the
I
car.
want a Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, I
Oh.
want a
And
Tesla.
it was a beautiful car.
No, she's like, it's brand new. It's X5, one of those.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
like,
man.
I didn't want. What is this? I
That is
want
wild.
I want a Tesla.
But you see that pressure.
Yo, yo.
I know at 20.
Guy, we said I'm regular bicycle.
O sa re bicycle ka tsamaya ka maoto.
Yeah, I bought my first
Ai,
car at 21, and only because I did this Coca-Cola job, 150,000 rand. I was like, let me get a car. You know what I mean? And was it, wait. Yeah, that's my story. And then and I was like, it was a Peugeot 206 Nyana something. I was so happy about that car. I loved
at
it.
that time,
I put a
Peugeot
Bluetooth.
206.
I put a Bluetooth phone thing.
Yeah.
I tinted
The
the
one in
window.
the ashtray thing.
Yeah, I put the tinted window.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
so happy in that
You and the
car.
girl.
21 years old. I see this girl, she's 18. I'm like, Tesla. I want a Tesla. I was like, this is also why you're saying social media is making these kids feel like they need so
Certain
much.
things, yeah.
They
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
more and more and more that they don't even work for.
Yes.
You know?
I think for me, I got to the point and understood, right? I look at when you go to a funeral, what do they speak about at funerals? They speak about what you achieved, things that you did, and how you made them feel, right? So if you think about it, everything else doesn't necessarily matter, but we put so much weight on those things. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your car with you. You can't take your house with you. I saw a video where it says, imagine in 100 years from now, everything that you work so hard for is going to belong to somebody else.
Or it's not even
It's
going
true.
to be there anymore.
You get
Sure,
what I'm saying?
imagine.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
just
think of those old small towns, villages in like Egypt and all those countries where
There were kings before.
there were kings and things and great places, but now they're all overrun by
Deserted,
sand,
yeah.
100%.
deserted. But people built, they lived,
Yeah.
but now it's not there anymore. You know?
Yeah, so for me, it's genuinely a thing of literally focus on what matters.
Yeah.
Guys, what is a light going to do for you?
Yeah.
If you've
yeah.
got issues with yourself, you're looking for gratification in the wrong places.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? What is that car going to do for you? I don't mind. Drive a luxurious car because you want to, you like the comfort, but don't do it for anybody else. Because the moment that you lose that very thing, you lose your identity. Now you feel like you're not a person of value or stature. So don't find your identity in things, in essence. Clothes come, clothes go. People are here. Next moment they're here.
Yeah.
You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It's nice.
always remain humble, remain grounded, and find yourself in yourself and not in things. Find yourself in God too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so I think that those
Yeah,
are
and I think also in adding on to that, you should, like, unless you are, and you actually look at your bank account and you're like, yeah, I made it. You should never think people need you more than you need them.
Absolutely.
Because you are I'm irreplaceable.
Life will show you.
Watch.
I'm irreplaceable. No one is like me. Watch.
Oh no,
I had a
somebody
big
is.
job. No, I had a big job. I had this script for 2 years,
Yeah.
and it was promised to me. This is your job. This is your job. I had the script for 2 years of like this feature film,
Yeah.
and come shooting time, it was given to somebody else.
Sure.
It broke me. I don't think I'm so over that. I'm still so I'm not over
Do you
it.
need
No,
counseling?
I'm not over it. I don't think I'm over it, actually. Shame. But you should never think people need you more than you need them.
Yeah.
And you should never think you're the best thing since sliced bread.
Sure.
You know, I'm just adding on
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Because irreplaceable.
Sure, guys, this life thing is difficult.
Shit.
No, life is very
TK.
tricky, and I just wanna, anchor what you were saying, echo what you were saying. Sorry, as people, we need people. There's this old saying that says "Motuki motokabat,"
Yeah.
and it's so true. And I don't know. There's also this thing where now it's like you must just depend on yourself and only look on yourself. It's not true. We need people.
We need each
We
other.
need
Yeah.
support structures in our lives. You
Yeah.
need the people in your life. You might not get along And yes, it's important to draw boundaries, like Zama showed us earlier. You know, it's important to draw boundaries and speak for yourself and everything. But you need people. There's gonna come times in life where you need to lean on someone. No man is an island. We are not created that way. God did not even create us that way. God created us for community. So you always need people. And also, you know, even in your skill set, as you go through life, see how you can help other people. You know, you literally lose nothing by helping someone else.
Yeah.
And literally sharing what you have takes nothing away from you. And even your skills especially. That's why I'm so passionate about helping young businesses and young entrepreneurs, because the skills that I have learned in my struggle in those times where, you know, I was living on nothing but bread and water.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have to go through that. Let me show you how you can get out of that. So
I think people need to go through that once.
Once in their lifetime.
Papa Kalibis, at least once.
Your cup is getting possessed at least once.
But you know, for some people, maybe yes, maybe go through it, but maybe need help getting out of it. You know,
But to lean on people, like you're in the social media space, so you're one of your obviously most valuable skill set is interpersonal skills, because you're always working with people. So you could say one day at some point you have to lean on some, but it's a minefield out there. It's a minefield. You don't know. Also, you never really know what people want from you.
Also, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And when you're young and you're naive and you're trying to find your way, if you listen to just anybody, you could end up anywhere but where you want to go.
True.
So I'll ask you, how do you know like who to lean to? Because I isolated myself before and I was just like, okay, this is not working either.
I think in terms of who you lean on, you know, I also went through a period where I was very isolated, and that's why I speak so passionately about you do need people. Because also when you isolate yourself, you get into this place of being depressed. Because literally, and depression thrives in isolation.
Yes.
For a lack of better words, it thrives in isolation. The more that you keep to yourself,
It grows in darkness.
Yes, it really does. And you know, like what you're saying, sometimes you lean on people and it's a battlefield, and they might betray you, they might stab you in the back, or whatever the case is. And I want to say that it's gonna happen, and we need to learn to. I don't want to say that it's okay that it happens to us, but I think, and for me to answer this, I'm anchored in God. I'm a strong believer in God. Everything that I am is anchored in who God is. So it always goes, for me, it always goes back to that, you know, going back to God and praying. Because everything that I do is first rooted in love. The love that I have for God, and that also transfers in the love I have for people. So even if somebody does something wrong to me, I always use the words of Jesus. Forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. Truly, truly. Sometimes people don't know the
What they're
impact
doing.
of what they are doing.
Yeah.
You know, so even if
That's when you're like, wake up.
you know, but if you're leaning on someone and they move under you, you know, it's okay to fall. But make sure that you don't stay down.
Yeah.
Dust yourself off. And even if one person lets you down, trust me, there's someone else that will have your back.
So just what I'm taking from you is have yourself rooted somewhere.
Yes.
Well, in our case, because I'm also very rooted in God, have yourself rooted somewhere. And just grow from there.
Yes.
Be grounded somewhere and just grow from there.
Yeah.
That will also allow you to know your identity as a person and not identify yourself through things.
Yes,
because you'll
absolutely.
always be grounded and go back to, okay, ground zero. Okay, this is me.
Yes.
This is what I'm about.
Yes.
Even if I'm at the bottom of the radar right now, I know how to grow from here. So that's what I'm taking from you.
There's something that she said earlier on, and I wanted to add on to it. I think the most selfish thing that we can do as people is help others. The reason, let me say that again.
Yes.
The most selfish thing you can do as a person is help others, because in essence, it actually fulfills you.
It comes from you, yeah.
And you feel fulfilled after doing that very
So
thing.
it comes from you and it comes back to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
I know it's a bit of a tricky one, but it genuinely is.
It is selfish. I'm thinking about it now. It's a very selfish thing to do.
You know, there are
Guys, we have such a short time now.
There are times where there's a time in a period in my life where I took a step back from helping people because first and foremost I needed to help myself. I needed myself more. And then I decided to then I every time I wanted to help someone with something, I had to catch myself and reel it in and be like, okay, no, precious, focus on you for now. You don't have enough, you know.
Pour into your cup first before you pour into other people's cups.
And then I started to reevaluate my selflessness, because I always thought of myself as a selfless person.
Yeah.
Then I realized I actually helped people for various reasons. One, to boost my street cred. Two, to boost my confidence.
Goes back to what he said.
Three, so he can tell you I helped him because you're not a nice person. 4, because I can. I have the resources. Okay, fine, I'll send it now. And then move on with my life. You know? 5, there were various reasons. Another reason I was helping people was, one day I'm going to need help and that person is going to help me. Well, was I not wrong?
Oh, sure, brother.
If you're going to help people because you think one day they're going to help you.
That's
that
the
is
wrong
the
reason
worst.
to do
That's the
it.
So I, after reevaluating my whole selflessness thing, I was like, you know what? I will only help people when I have to think about it.
Yeah.
When it feels right and it feels good, and I just blow it away and just move on. No expectations, no.
Can I just speak on that a little bit? Like what you're saying, when you do help people, definitely you should not
Don't expect anything.
ever. And I think I had to learn from that as well, you know, because sometimes you help, and then you get yourself and you're like, my life is falling apart. Where is everyone?
Exactly.
Right? Where are
Exactly.
all
The
these
people have helped before.
Yes.
Where are they now?
I remember when I turned 29, my whole entire life changed, like completely changed. And it really felt like where's everyone? You know? And I was in a space where I was surrounded by people all the time, where there was a lot of people. And now it felt like all of a sudden everything is falling apart and there's no one. You know, you look to the left, you look to the right, you're like, where are all these people? You know, and there's no one there. And I remember it hurt me a lot. You know, it broke me. But in me healing, in God restoring me and healing me, He showed me that you actually, even though they were not there, right? But I was there.
Yes.
God is there.
God was there.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And even though the people I was looking for were not there, and this is where we lose it sometimes, there were people around me still.
Sure.
It's just that it's not the people
that you
I
wanted.
thought would be there.
Yeah.
But there were still people. And I had to change my mindset to say, I'm so thankful
Yeah.
for the people. And, you know, I almost had to go and apologize to those people because I was like taking them for granted, you know. But to say, even though the people I thought were going to be there were not there, I'm so thankful that God created and had people around me that still helped me.
I was
Thank
angry.
you so much. Yeah.
I was so angry.
me too.
Girl,
I
you
was
need to calm
angry.
down.
I was like, wait. I was like, wait, you? Okay, and you too. Oh, now okay.
I think too, the point there, you really see who your support system is when you're at the toughest times.
Yeah.
And I've really seen that in my life. I remember the prayer that I prayed. I said, God, remove the people from my life that don't need to be there and bring people in my life that should be there.
Yeah.
And I saw the solid relationships and friendships that I have from people that you actually wouldn't expect. Where they're checking you, is everything good? You've been quiet, is everything going all right, etc., etc. So that is a great eye opener. To answer your question, which I don't think we actually have. Right?
Yeah.
Basically, for me, I would say God needs to be the number one for me personally. I've seen myself grow because of God. I am the person I am today because of God.
Yeah.
You know, I don't speak about isolation. I speak about solitude. You know, I no longer go into isolation because isolation is more of a dark place, and you allow yourself to focus on the negative thoughts. Where solitude is the foundation
grounded.
is grounded. It's
Well,
solid.
isolation can be good. Like if you on your third book, right?
Yeah.
We didn't even get a time to talk about his books. You're on your third book, right? So if you say, okay, I need to isolate, I'm going to Sun City into a hotel, I'm gonna chill there for 2 weeks and write this book and finish, and then I'm out of it. You know that it can be good.
I hear what you're saying. I would rather use the word I'm going into solitude. You get what I'm saying? I know isolation is you going like into a quiet place by yourself. Solitude is exactly the same, but I feel like it's more positive.
It is two different things.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, yes, you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Then point number 2, I would say that because I'm a parent and as well, parents as well. Our parents need to do a better job at raising us, right? We can't be going through what they went through, in essence. Like, they need to deal with their pains, which comes back to your point of the fact of we're scared of going to like things like psychologists because we think it's taboo or I'm seen as weak, etc. Guys, we've all got childhood traumas. I remember something that happened in 2000, which is 24 years ago. How old was I then? I was 7 years old. I remember that today. So us as a people need to deal with our childhood traumas because I can still...
It's going to affect the next generation. Yeah.
I literally can remember it clearly. So we need parents that are basically have dealt with traumas so can help us deal with traumas. We shouldn't have to go through what they've gone through or have to deal with what they've haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
Right?
And I also hate it so much, those flashbacks. You get it, then I'm like, oh, great, now I need a nap.
Sleep it off.
Jeez, because I'm not going to fight with anyone. I'm not Let me just go and sleep it off.
Yeah.
You know?
But even with... sorry, yes, finish.
Okay, sorry. Then back to your point that we are because of others.
Yeah.
Is they say that basically, what's that saying about it takes a child to raise, it takes a village to raise a child. So being in a community of people that kind of help you basically grow and become at the end of the day, you know, also going back to the community, because you've learned, go back and make a difference there. You know, this is how we face those challenges and overcome those certain things. I actually remember I wrote the last point. Actually, and then self-development. I think that's very, very important, working on yourself daily.
Yeah.
The person I was, that she probably met in 2012, right? This is how many years later? 12 years later.
Yeah.
I can tell you, she can tell me there's a total difference in who I am as a person.
Absolutely.
But the thing, but also, sorry to disturb you, the thing with self-development is you don't know how to do it. Right. That's why when you're like young and things like that, and you don't know what's happening.
To that because I had to learn it.
Because so you don't know how to do it. So you have to seek it. You have to seek it. You have to want it.
Yeah.
And I believe. I do believe there are God-given talents and special gifts and all of those things. But I'm also come from a school of thought of that anything can be taught.
True.
You can teach someone to be an independent thinker. You can teach. That's why someone goes from high school and they want to be in a rock band, but they decide to go to law school and become a very successful lawyer.
Yeah.
That was not their passion nor their talent, but they were taught how to do it and they became good at it. Do you know what I mean? So the whole thing of self-development, I also had to learn it because I went to seek for it. I went to look for it. I wanted to find books on it. That's when I discovered the self-help section, you know, in the bookshop or in the library. Yes. And I was like, oh, this is some interesting stuff. You know? So... Yeah, that's what.
No, but you said...
You have to want... Self-development, you have to want to develop yourself because... and that can be taught as well.
You have to want it and you have to seek it. You know, I remember when I really started working on myself, because sometimes you can also fool yourself into saying you're working on yourself
when you're actually
really
not.
Yeah, but you're really not. But when I really had to start, you know, because you also have to be honest with yourself. Part of developing yourself is looking at your life honestly. You know, I had to be very honest and be like, okay, DK, here's how your life is looking right now. How did we get here? How are we getting out?
Sure.
100%,
do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I also had to take responsibility of some of the places where I messed up, where I made wrong decisions, as young as I was, you know, because I did make that decision, you know. So I had to take that responsibility, and it's not easy.
It isn't.
It's so much easier to say, how could they have done that? They shouldn't have done that. They should have pointed me in a better direction. But having to get there, and the thing about life is that there is going to come a time where you are confronted with yourself. And you have to make a decision
and take accountability.
And I think that's where a lot of young people miss it. Is now you are confronted with yourself and also your future. What are the decisions that you're going to make?
So good.
You know, you spoke about you must seek it. So I had to look. I remember at the time when I was riddled with depression and anxiety, I didn't have the money to go for therapy. I had to look there's actually free resources
Search.
everywhere, guys.
Yes, there are.
I just
Everywhere.
want to say
Yes, there are.
there's free resources.
No, I know they are.
You know, but I had to search because I was at a place where I was tired of feeling the way that I was feeling. I was tired of being stuck, and I needed to get a way out.
So is that wanting? You want it?
Yes.
You want to
yes.
change?
Then that's what I was saying. And I had to seek it.
Yes.
You understand? I had
You wanted to
look.
escape
look
the
for it.
isolation
Yes.
because
And-
you're in a dark place.
Yes, and I was like, and also felt stuck.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And another thing is that sometimes no one is coming to help you. There's certain things where yes, we do need community, but there's certain things where the only person that's gonna get you out of that spot is you.
You know, speaking about that, I heard someone. I think this was a rapper from America, and he was saying, "You must just keep on cooking, right?"
Ish.
And
Cooking
he
in the
said,
kitchen.
"Yeah, just keep on cooking, because you need to dish up for people. People are waiting for your food, but if you expect someone to dish up for you, no one's gonna dish up for you.
Yeah.
Just keep on cooking,
That's a
continue
bar.
cooking.
Yeah.
You know,
dropped
and
the bar there.
you know what?
Absolutely.
How I understood it was." Actually, I need to do stuff for myself. Yes, people are gonna request for my, you know, my efforts, you know, and I need to give them off. But I shouldn't expect anyone to do anything for me because I just need to do it for myself. So I need to stand up and go out there and go do it for myself. Yeah. So this is a very powerful conversation, guys, and
really is.
we are out of time. So I'm gonna request each of us to please give out our parting shots, 20 seconds, and just give out your social media platforms where people can reach you. You can also just quickly present your books.
Cool.
I'm gonna give you that time, but we're out of time.
So I'll
you can go.
last.
You can
I'll
go ahead,
last.
Saba.
I'll go last.
Go
Okay,
first.
cool.
I'll give
Okay.
you 5 seconds of
Ladies
mine.
first. Ladies first.
I'm not giving you my social media because there's nothing to see there. So,
Why not? Let's give us your social media.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
but it's private, and I add people. I screen.
Okay.
I screen people first.
Yeah.
And,
No,
people,
that's
and
good.
people think I'm so.
Boundaries.
No, people think I'm so stuck up. I screen people, and I don't care who you are. I'm like, if I'm not digging the vibe, I'm like, no, you can't see my stuff. You can't see my stuff. But on Instagram, I'm Thabile Precious _
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Well, we'll check you out there. You must just accept us.
There's nothing to see there, honestly.
DK, your parting shot, and where can we reach you?
Okay, my parting shot is always going to be make sure that you find a place where you can anchor yourself.
Sure.
Seek God, run to Him, don't run away from Him. You can find me I'm all on every social media platform, even the ones that don't exist yet. But I'm DK1 Original on everything, and my business page is One Original, where I share social media tips and all the secrets of the trade if you want to grow from that.
Yeah. I must actually speak to you after the session. Zama?
On my side, you can find me. Instagram is @zamillion_m.
Okay.
On Twitter, it's @zamillion_m.
Yeah.
On TikTok, it's @zamillion_m. Facebook,
Very catchy.
it is Zama Madlala. On LinkedIn, it's also Zama Madlala. Right. I've got my own personal website, which is Zama Madlala. Zama Madlala Zamadlala.co.za.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then I've got my personal website where I sell my books as well, which is zama-madlala-solutions.com.
Okay.
In essence. And I think my parting point would actually be to speak to these books, right? The one is titled In His Image, which is a 90-day devotional, and the other one is The Mindset of a Conqueror. And basically, the point that I want to mention is that you are where you are because of where you are, right? Which is basically you thought yourself into those very places. So if you get your mind right, literally, you'll get your life right. So every decision you make is based on the decisions that you've made, the choices that you've taken, and every step that you have taken as well. So everything starts from the mind. It's having the right mindset will lead you to having a right life set. You know?
Oh.
So, yeah.
Very powerful, hey? Very catchy. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you so much to our panelists, guys. We hope we will meet again next time. This time, not just speaking, but maybe implementing.
Okay.
So that's something that we should discuss afterwards. Thank you very much to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. We're hoping that this conversation will definitely change your life and how you think, and you'll be better and grow from where you are currently to a much better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.
you.
Have a great day ahead.
Take care.